We are at Massapequa Preserve, and it is so eerily quiet today. It is September 10th. It's around 6:30. Just looking at the sky. There's a train pulling into the yard. I took the train here. There were people on it, but they just get off the train and then they go right back home. They don't want to go outside. So, in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how messed up the world is today. All right? Because it's really messed up. And there's nobody here. Seriously, it's a beautiful evening. Where is everybody? Picnic tables are empty. There's like no one here. This is the South Shore now. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how messed up the world is in so many ways. Because it's really messed up. And it's just getting more and more messed up as the days go on. It all started in 2020. I've never seen the preserve this empty. This is just unbelievable. We're going to have a nice sunset tonight. I can tell looking at that sky. Look at this. Empty. There are a few people on the playground, but look, no one here, no one here, no one here. It's feeling like the middle of the island. And this is weird. All right. I've been here every time I've been here. I was here just a few days ago. There were people here. But in this video, we're talking about how messed up the world is right now. If you haven't heard, and you probably have, there's been more violence again against a conservative personality. Unfortunately, he was shot and killed. I'm not going to mention his name, but we've seen so much violence from both sides. And all this started in 2020. 2020 really just screwed the whole world up. And I don't want to make this too long of a video, but you know how I felt about this the whole time with 2020. That we screwed up the world for a freaking thing. All right? We screwed up the whole world for a freaking thing that we should not have screwed up the world for. All right? So, what we've done, and I'm trying to say this in the most respectful way possible, is we messed up our world and gave in to fear, gave in to paranoia, and pretty much upended our whole civilization, how things work. Look, where is everybody? And you know what? Hasn't been the same since. The world sucks now, all right? Because everybody gave in to staying home, and it was people on both sides. It was liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, all gave in to these stupid shutdowns, which never should have taken place. There should not have been one day a shutdown, all right? It should not have been one day. And this is all across the world. This isn't even a United States thing, all right? Though the effect obviously seems to be worse in this country. But there shouldn't have been one day of that. When you have something that's bad for your health going around, you put a mask on and you go about your life. All right? But that's not what people did. At first they said, oh, it'll be a couple of weeks. Then it turned into a month. Then it turned into months of this. And look at the damage it's done. Look at the damage it's done. Look, this is the damage it's done. People staying home all the time. All right? And it hasn't been that way since. Even here on the South Shore, all right? Lately, it seems especially. People staying home again. I used to walk around Rockville Center. It used to be busy on Saturday nights. Ever since the summer, it's quiet. The restaurants aren't full. Where is everybody? It's unbelievable. Did everything he could not to give in to that. I still went out. I didn't stay home when they told me to stay home. I didn't do that. Because you know why? It's very bad for anyone's mental health to stay home day after day after day. especially where I live. As you know, no view except a brick wall, no air circulation. You know all that stuff already. I mean, you had schools closed down. Think about the damage that's done to the kids. They missed out on school. They missed out on their graduations. They missed out on a whole bunch of things in their life because a bunch of stupid people with power decided we couldn't live our lives. And we continue to give in to that today, obviously, with what's going on at the White House. We gave in to just staying home. And what happened is caused people to become cut off. Everybody's always looking at their phones now. They're always using social media to communicate instead of meeting people in person. Phones are a real problem. All right. You know, when I was growing up, at least I was young enough to experience normal life. All right. And even with my disability, even with the problems I had, I still managed to enjoy things that people can't enjoy today. Things like going to the diner in the middle of the night. I used to be able to do that. The diners are 24 hours. Now they close at like 9 o'clock. Going to the mall. The mall closes at 8 o'clock. You could go to the supermarket. There were 24-hour supermarkets. Remember those days? Now everything shuts down. It's ridiculous, man. We've done permanent damage with those stupid shutdowns. And there were people that I liked in the political arena that went along with those stupid shutdowns. No one should have ever gone along with them. We did such damage to our world with that.
Yeah, in 2020, you couldn't even hike here. That's right. You couldn't hike in New Jersey in their forests. And a lot of other states did this too. Florida. Just want to throw this in the video because I think that was one of the most asinine, ridiculous things of all the shutdowns and regulations during 2020. And it wasn't just the governor, but Ocean County as well took it a step further, actually having the police patrol the parks and ticketing people who were going in for a hike during this. The absolutely ridiculous power grab by corrupt government officials and even officials that I've liked. This is when you give the government too much power, this is what happens. I think 2020 is a perfect example of that.
We went along with all that crap. And because people are not used to interacting with each other, now they feel more comfortable using more violence. And we see so much in the past 5 years. So much. They even said on the news, the past 5 years, we've seen more political violence in this country than the history of the rest of this country prior to 2020. All because of those stupid shutdowns. All right? If there's any lesson we can take away from this, it's that we must never, ever shut down again for anything. All right? It was a mistake then, and it's a mistake now. I felt that way then, and I feel that way now. But of course, when I spoke out about it back then, my videos were taken down. Remember in the very beginning, I made a video, and YouTube took it down? Remember that? Medical misinformation. Really? Medical misinformation. Because what about the mind? What about the health of the mind? We may have saved the shutdowns. Would they have saved? Maybe they saved a few lives, but look at how many other lives we messed up in the process. There's something bad going around. You put a mask on. You wash your hands. All right? You don't stay home. You don't upend your whole life because there's something bad going around. And look what we did to this whole country. Look what we did to the society. We have a society full of hermits, people staying home. Look, there's no one here. I don't know how that happened. All right. There's no one here. And this summer, it seems like we're reverting back almost, because I noticed things are just not as busy. Even here on the South Shore, they're not as busy. Where is everybody? I mean, I've been in Rockville Center. This was Friday night in Rockville Center. There's like nobody on the road. So it's not just the middle of the island. I don't think I just walked into it. There's a lot of bugs out here. Oh my God. Ugh. gosh, where the wind just died down completely. Getting inundated with bugs. I'm gonna have to leave. Just wanted to look at the sunset, the clouds. Bugs are terrible. A bunch of other people on YouTube are talking about this, and I figured I would talk about it too, because I mean, it's really getting out of control. The damage, and it continues to go on. How do we fix this damage? Or we need a president, and no, Trump. And it doesn't. I don't think a Republican's going to do it. I don't think a Democrat's going to do it. We need a president that's going to come and say, we must get back to normal. We must have our malls stay open to 9:30 again. We must get off our damn phones and start interacting face to face, going out instead of staying home all the time. All right? You know, I'm gonna head over to the I don't know, over there. I guess you know, this is depressing, man. Yeah, and Mineola was fine until 2020, and Mineola got destroyed by 20. But it's not just Mineola. A mile and a half to the east of me is the Sunrise Mall. All right, that was struggling before 2020. Now it's pretty much abandoned. Broadway Commons is in a similar state up north in Hicksville. All right. I mean, and before 2020, these malls were okay. They were doing okay. And now everything's just closing down because you can't shut down business and society for days, months, and whatever. You can't do that in this day and age. And look at what we did. We effed up the whole world for that stupid thing. It's not stupid. I shouldn't say that. But we effed up the whole world because of something that we could have protected ourselves with a mask. All right? Just put a mask on. It'll protect you. All right? Instead, we went all out with these shutdowns when it should have just been masks, and that's it. And of course, when the vaccine comes out, yeah, I believe in vaccinations. But look what we got now. We got an anti-vaxxer in the White House, basically saying that he's saying that people don't need vaccines, which is ridiculous. So see how the world has gone mad? We got all these extremes going on. All these extremes. All these damn extremes. And now we have all this violence going on, too. It's not right. I mean, look at all the violence that's happened since 2020 in this world. Especially in this country, all the shootings, that school shootings, people have become normalized to it now. You know, why? Because people got isolated from each other. And when you don't interact, you forget that your actions have consequences. People think they're playing a video game, but it's real life. And look, I'm always somebody who believes in science. All right? And when things out there that are bad for you, you have to protect yourself from them. All right? But you don't want to... What they did is akin to like using a nuclear bomb to wipe out a southern pine beetle infestation. All right? That's what they did. So they destroyed everything in the process to get something under control. They destroyed the whole civilization as we know it, pretty much. Ever since 2020. There are a lot of YouTubers talking about this, and I wanted to make a video about it too because I think it's important. I think it's important that we recognize the mistakes we made in 2020 and the lasting impacts that we're seeing. You can see all the gnats flying around me. But there are lasting impacts that happened. All right? We really messed up this world, especially this country, in a very big way. And the fact that everybody went along with it, that's the most disturbing thing. It's just like everybody's going along with what we're seeing in the White House now, a president that's basically breaking the Constitution left and right. And nobody says anything, nobody does anything, nobody realizes how serious it is. You know? And this kind of violence, it's only going to get worse until we recognize the serious damage that was done in 2020 to people's brains. And we have to realize that we must get back to the way life was before 2020. Otherwise, this world is going to continue to spiral out of control. People have to go out again. The stores have to be open again. They have to be open regular hours. All right? They have to be open regular hours. Diners need to be 24 hours again. It costs too much money. We can't do that. Well, then the government needs to get involved and make sure and help and stimulate the economy so these places can be open again. Because when these places are closed, less people are working, more people are on their computers, more people are staying home. This is terrible. It may cost money to get things back to normal, but we have to do it, and we need a president that's going to do that. But Trump, he ain't doing that. Biden didn't do it either. They both stunk in their own way. This is Sunrise Highway. Where is everybody? One fire truck. I mean, seriously, where is everybody? I know, tomorrow's September 11th. That was another day that changed the world. And obviously, a hard day for all of us. A hard day for all of us. But even September 11th didn't mess up our world like 2020 did. After September 11th, people still went to work. Kids still went to school. People still went out to eat. Malls didn't close early. But this, after 2020, here we are 5 years later, and we still look at this. I mean, seriously. Where is everybody? They get off the train and they go home. They don't go out to eat. They don't go to the mall. They don't do anything. They just go home. Wasn't like that growing up, man. It's horrible now, man. It sucks. You're on the South Shore. There's no escape from it. A lot of it has to do with inflation, obviously. The costs of things, obviously. I know. I understand that. So people can't afford to do those things. Because 2020 also made all of us poorer as well. Everything jacked up the price. Fast food is no longer cheap. That's part of the reason why you don't see anyone in fast food places anymore. Remember when fast food places used to be busy? Now they're empty all the time. This is too expensive. And again, Trump ran on, we're going to make things cheap. We're going to get things affordable again. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. So, what should we have done in 2020? First of all, we never should have shut down. Never should have shut anything down, all right? The only thing we should have done is mandate masks. Last time there was a major pandemic, I think in the 20s, that's what we did. We didn't shut things down like we did, all right? Obviously, places where you can't wear a mask, like the restaurants, it does get a little tricky with that, so you may have to have half the capacity and stuff like that. You never should have shut the indoor dining down. That was a huge mistake. So many restaurants closed because of that. Friendlies, which is very hard to find now. There's one there, but most of them closed down. So many of these restaurants I grew up with closed down. And they shut these businesses down, and then they give them a little bit of money at the end, but it's not enough for them to keep going. Can't do that, right? And obviously, vaccine research, obviously, once that vaccine came out, yeah, I do support mandatory vaccinations because it's important. I mean, when I was born, we had to have mandatory vaccinations, like polio and stuff like that. But now we've swung completely in the other direction with RFK saying you can't even get a vaccine even if you want one. He came in saying, oh, I'm going to be choice. I'm going to be vaccine choice. But he's an anti-vaxxer. He's against vaccination. The guy's a crackpot. But this is what's happened to the world in 2020. We put nut jobs in charge now. Yes, the disease that happened in 2020 was a disease that is bad for your health, obviously. But I think they blew it out of proportion. What about cancer? Cancer has actually killed more people than that. All right? Yet, you don't see nearly the kind of action against... I lost my mom to breast cancer at 50. All right? But nobody talks about that, right? They just want control. That's really what it all boils down to in the end, and that's where I'll end this video, is control. It's their way of trying to control our lives. Because if we have less money and we're staying home, and we're being fed information from this freaking phone or this computer, they can control us. We can't. There's no independent thinking anymore. There's no free will. That's what this is all. The rich and the oligarchs have really used this to control people, and that's really what it's all about. Because the rich just got so much richer in the past 5 years, more than any other time in history. So the world is very messed up right now. We have to realize the mistakes we made in 2020, and we have to undo them. We have to get our lives back to the way it was before 2020. That is the only hope of our civilization returning to its former glory. Full well making this video might get me in trouble with YouTube again. Who knows? But you know what? Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to speak up about it. It's just M7. You know, Wall Street's loved it. Wall Street continues to do better than ever. But the rest of us and our civilization is crumbling. I'm not saying there was nothing wrong with society prior to 2020. Of course there was. But everything just got so much worse. And it continues to be absolutely horrible. And what a horrible world we live in right now. The violence and the separation of people, and the fact that people just don't care about each other anymore, it seems, it's just heartbreaking. We've become very, very selfish and brainwashed. We don't realize what's really going on. And that is that this is all being done so we are under control. It was in 2020, and it is in 2025. So it's up to you to wake up, and people in New York City, we have an election coming. I'll do another video about that. The people have forgotten all about all the crime, and they want to put a candidate in who's got some really crazy ideas, and basically is going to turn New York City into San Francisco. But I'm going to talk about that in another video again. People just aren't thinking straight anymore. We got messed up from staying home and upending our lives for so long. And who knows, it may take generations. But honestly, the way things are going in this world, between climate change and all the other things going on, humanity may, in the end, wind up making itself extinct. So, on that note, on that cheerful note, at least we have some noise in the background now. But on that cheerful note, I'm going to wrap up this video as my AAD comes, an AAD bus, and wish you all well. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.